Hi, I'm Yanni Pasikis, a reporter for the Central Penn Business Journal and Lehigh Valley Business. Welcome to PA Biz Conversations, a newsroom web video series that shares timely news topics that affect PA businesses. Today, we have Annie Carnathan, president of Mechanicsburg-based Universal Media Analytics, who will be talking to us about the company's work and how she's led Universal Media Analytics in recent years. Annie, can you please give us a brief intro about your role at the organization?
Absolutely, I can, Yanni, and thank you again for having me. My name is Annie Carnathan. I'm the president and the CEO of Universal Media, as Yanni just said, in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. First and foremost, I'm a Shippensburg University grad, Ship Hip Hooray, where I majored in radio and television communications with a speech minor, and am absolutely doing all of that today and have throughout my career. So essentially, I am what I call myself the accidental CEO. I came to Universal 10 years ago with a background in broadcast sales, both television and radio, and leadership there. And I essentially came to Universal midway through my career to really build the acquisition portfolio of the company. And 10 years later, I have evolved and now am the president and CEO, leading a really incredible team and leading a group of our partners to collaborate with our team. So that's what I would say my currency is, Yanni.
Wonderful. And how would you go about describing exactly what Universal Media Analytics does for somebody who may not be familiar with it?
In the most simple of terms, we're going to connect targeted consumers that are going to purchase goods, products, and services. So literally think of any business selling something, and we're going to connect the consumers that have the best opportunity or chance to buy our partners' goods, products, and services. So we take a huge, enormous, complex amount of advertising choices because of the data and information available today. And then we craft that into a simple, specific strategy that's going to deliver efficiencies, accountability, and most importantly, profitability. So we're an advertising media firm that connects the right people with the right goods and services.
How would you describe your offerings compared to the competition in terms of what really separates you?
What separates Universal from our competitors is what I believe separates every company from their competitors. And that's only two things. It's our people and it's our data. And so when I sort of say, what are our capabilities, Yanni, I'm not going to be able to make that sound different from my competitors. Those are table stakes. What really brings the differentiation is the intellect of our people, our experience, our ability to be a fully collaborative team in every aspect of media, not just broadcasting or not just print or not just digital. So we're very, very high touch, very service oriented. We pick our partners in a very discerning way because we literally want to be one collaborative team. So we're very high touch, very high service, with the intellect to be able to figure out today's media landscape, which would be complicated in a non-COVID year, but obviously of which is accelerated in its complexity this year.
Mm-hmm. And I understand, as you mentioned, you've been with the company for quite some time. In your experience, how has the organization changed in your time there and in your time as a leader and as a CEO?
That's a great question, because I would say literally everything has changed. And if it's everything, it's nothing. But there's not enough time in any amount of days to say what the change has been. So starting with, I think the fact that there's been exponential disruption in media, in data, in information, solely because those consumers' lives that we were and are connecting with have been totally disrupted. So I think if you take the last 10 years, the biggest change has been data and information, and more specifically, what are we going to do with that? So what I liken that to, without attempting to date myself, is when there were three big broadcast television networks. There was NBC, CBS, and ABC. That turned into cable with 110 channels. That turned into additional networks, Fox, the CW. So everything aggregates, Yanni, and then it blows back up, and it's left for us to re-aggregate that into a targeted consumer that our partners can still reach efficiently and effectively. So we had to essentially pivot from what was a standard traditional broadcast agency 33 years ago into where we are today. And now you're talking about the right person with the right device at the right time, and really having all that accountability right in front of us. But that's not to say traditional still doesn't have a role. It's not to say newspapers and business journals aren't still highly critical in that entire ecosystem holistically and in an omni-channel way. So I think, the ability to basically keep up with that, Yanni, keep sort of skating to where the puck is going to be versus where it isn't, with apologies to a sports analogy, and essentially being able to listen well to not only what is, but what's coming. And that in essence has really pivoted, again, an independent family-owned media company with national scope, into the agency that we are today.
In your time in this leadership role, in your experiences, what type of resources and expertise does it take to sort of catch this wave, to try to use a similar thing? But, how would you say that that your company has sort of allowed itself to continue to understand how this is changing, particularly now when we look at COVID?
That's actually a really good question. And for my own goals and objectives, I think they're important. So let's start with that. What are the goals and objectives? We all have to have something on the journey that's a little bit of a road sign. So it's never a destination, it's a continuing journey. And so I always had 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year goals. Now imagine my 1 year goal now versus my 1 year goal last year, when I wasn't Nostradamus trying to predict the future. And so I think it's sort of, there's a short game and there's a long game, but those 1, 3, and 5 year plans, Yanni, are always based on two things. And it always simplifies down to those two things. It's relevance and it's revenue. So we want to make sure we're delivering innovative, bold, creative media strategies that a partner says, wow, that we're growing, we're getting more efficient, we're innovating, we're taking these mini risks to learn more where consumers are headed, how they're consuming content. So that relevance enables the revenue. And so what does it look like to build out a 100% in-house digital capability team? What does it look like to have data scientists? What does it look like for the average age of the agency 10 years ago to be mid-50s, and now it's around 30? So that kind of intelligence, that kind of curiosity, and those team members are growing up in the digital age. So their view is entirely different. And those of us that came through the traditional part of advertising have to listen to that. We have to have open minds. We can't say, well, this is the way we've always done it. We have to remain open to any possibility being part of a strategy, right? So everyone gets a seat at the table, everyone gets a voice. And in that becomes this inspired way to just remain curious as to what's next. And the voracious reading, the investment in our employees in either education. Through COVID, there has been a myriad of webinars. I mean, we take advantage of every single component of education and learning to continue to grow.
And I imagine that, as you said, that's sort of the ability to bring everybody at the table. I imagine that is a huge positive when you're bringing that to any client.
What's interesting, and one of the key pieces, I think, And I say this to sort of the 20-somethings or our interns. What we do really well is simplify things. And what we say is, if we can't explain it simply, we don't understand it. If we're just going to hang on to the table stakes, we're not any different. There's no ability to differentiate anything if all we can sort of say are these buzzwords, right? I think we keep it very, very simple. And so in that is the ability to educate our partners, because thinking about us doing this every single day, this is our entire business. Our partners, maybe someone at a grocer is worried about running grocery stores, and think about what that's been like this year and what would have happened had our grocers not remained open with an open food chain and at least allayed the fears of not being able to buy food. That's just one example. Think about a health insurer and how critical their message has been this year in keeping people safe, knowing people's health insurance was there as a partner to take care of them. So again, there's a myriad of ways, but we oversimplify because no one has the capacity to follow along if they don't understand. And no one can keep up with us the way it's our obligation to. So it's our job to educate, to make it digestible, simple, and something everyone can follow along with.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, Annie, thank you very much for your time once again. And thank you everyone for joining us at PA Biz Conversations. To read more business news, join the Central Pennsylvania Business Journal's coverage at cpbj.com and Lehigh Valley Business at lvb.com. Once again, thank you and have a wonderful day.